Hi, it's Mickey Dedier of Grassroots Rite of Passage for Boys. So I wanted to talk about a small part of a very, very big issue that we all face as parents and as parents of boys. And that is, of course, technology, screens, on which I am now to communicate with you. And I saw a mention the other day of the ways in which these large 3 or 4 tech companies over the past few years has increased their ownership of our children or of childhood. That is a frightening statement and contentious, I'm sure. But what I make it mean is as our children approach adolescence, and hopefully not too long before that, but as the phone becomes their main means of communication, the algorithms find ways of influencing our children, our boys, more and more. And so the screen competes with parents for influence over boyhood. It competes with parents for passing on values, traditions, norms, rules, agreements, culture. And then we try to compete with the screens for our boys' attention, which is, as many of us have experienced, a losing battle as they get older. And so what do? I did a whole webinar on this, which is on my website, on raising men of soul in an age of screens. It's called From Screens to Soul. And it's a really good webinar, I must say. So if you get a chance to visit my website, you'll find it there along with a workbook. But today I just want to take a little part of that, which is, so what do? How do we compete with screens for influence, really, on our boys? Well, first, competition. That's a win-lose proposition, isn't it? And we notice that in the tension that comes into the household when we might have agreements around the phone, say at dinner time, and then our boy says he's just got to go to the bathroom, or he forgot something, and we know he's out checking his phone. He might have to go to the bathroom, but the phone is possibly conveniently placed on the way to the bathroom. Or whatever situations we recognize ourselves in. So one thing, of course, is to continue to tend to the aliveness of the household, so that there's enjoyable ways of relating in the household around cooking, dinner time, walks, games. Of course, we can do that. And from what I hear and what I experience, it's getting harder and harder to do that as parents. Our time is increasingly limited. The workload is increasing as well. And as our boys approach adolescence, they're drawn more and more away from the household. Of course, it's natural, towards other settings. Second thing is, of course, to know the parents of their friends, to communicate, to really reach out, even if we don't know the parents, to contact them and share our concerns. And if our sons are spending time in other households to just have contact with those families. That's also getting increasingly hard. Hopefully, we live in communities where we already know each other, or we have an extended family, or we're in a neighborhood that's accessible on foot, or we meet in at communal events, praise houses or grocery stores or CSE farms or CSA. But barring that, to reach out, to really text, call, meet, preferably with parents in whose households their sons spend a lot of time when they're not at home. And then there's the bigger one, which is a huge and core aspect to grassroots rite of passage, and that is the male midwives. I'll speak briefly to that, and I'll share more on my website and in these videos about what that entails. But the male midwife, so that recognizes the limits of our influence on our children. Even if there were no screens, parents come, or the household comes to a phase when the boy reaches adolescence, when he's looking for role models, people who stoke his imagination. And so the understanding is that at this stage of life, of this stage of the family cycle as well, other people become tremendously important in the life of our son. And so the male midwife are people who we ask to help us guide our boys in the liminal phase between boyhood and early adulthood, when they become sub-adults, early manhood. And we might not have a lot of people like that around. We might not know a lot of men, whether we're a mother or a father, but we make the request. And if we're fortunate and blessed enough to have friends, uncles, colleagues, people we trust and know and value, who accept our request, then their role becomes, to the extent that they're able to, but their role, what they're saying yes to, is, I understand. I remember this phase in my own life on the onset of adolescence, and how much I missed being guided by other men than my father, how much I missed being guided by other adults than my parents. And so, yeah, I'll be a support to him in this phase. I'll talk to him. Now, what that does is it breaks the contention between the parents and the boy at this age. And it's also more fun for the boy, likely more exciting, adventurous to have that connection, intentional, amateur connection with male midwives. So these are three things out of a lot of other ways of handling it that I think are valuable. And you'll have your own, of course. So if you have other ways of relating to it or handling it, I'd love to hear from you. And you might want to put it in the comments below, or just write to me directly. But that's it for now. All right, bye-bye.